Obviously, I'm a Yankees fan, so I'd love to see him.
It's almost like legacy of like the NFL versus.
But I definitely think that Baker could be a really good player for the Panthers moving forward.
Did I say Oreos?
There's a lot of questions I have about Mahomes. Looks like a kid playing Madden.
Turning point in the game is the 13-second drive.
They play very hard, even though they're terrible.
He's a good pick. You for sure. He's going to be a good player. But I can't argue against the Jamar Chase pick.
They made moves saying we're going to win this year, at least get into the playoffs.
I'm going with my guy, Corey Seager. So glad.
What's good, y'all? My name is Austin Drummond, and I play rugby for the University of Notre Dame. And you're listening to The Outsider's Opinion with Austin and Kevin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. We are going through top 10s. Make sure you're looking at our previous videos to see different top 10s, as we've done a lot of them recently. But today we are focusing on linebackers, and this is projecting for 2025. And Austin, I wish we've talked about this with defenders. I wish there were more stats free that you could see available. Of course, if you pay, you get more stats, but it's hard to just put a linebacker, especially off-ball linebackers, impact on a team with just these small stats that you can find.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I definitely think that it's a lot harder to do linebackers than I think any other spot. Because even with like O linemen, like you can see how the offense kind of shows you how good they are, and also the amount of sacks they give up. But linebackers can be very tough because tackles isn't everything. But I do think I have a solid grasp on linebackers.
Yeah. So do you have any honorable mentions?
I do. I just have one, and it's Bobby Wagner. Wagner was second team All-Pro last year, but I have seen him slow down. It's still going to take a lot for him not to be good this year, and I think he'll be solid. But I don't think that he's going to be a top 10 linebacker this year.
I understand that he is in my top 10, but it's in the latter half of the top 10. My only honorable mention is DeMarvion Overshown for the Dallas Cowboys. If he was healthy going into this season,
that's the same reason why I don't have him on mine. Similar to Aiden Hutchinson. I don't know how he's going to come back from that. And his injury is a lot more severe than Hutchinson's was. So I just don't know.
But yeah, I think if he was healthy, he'd be in this top 10. Could even put him high in this top 10 just because of that speed and raw talent he has. But a lot of that is injuries, and he may not come to that. But yeah, he deserved an honorable mention for me. But now I can go into 10, which this is some projecting. His best season was in it was 2022 when he was with Buffalo right before his contract year. Of course, he didn't have as many tackles. It was a few years earlier in 2020. But Tremaine Edmonds, to me, he had 110 tackles last year. He's someone that I think is going to be part of that. He was brought in to help the Bears, and I think he's going to finally do that and move into top 10 territory for linebackers.
Okay. Okay. I didn't really I did not have him on my list. My number 10 is Patrick Queen. It's funny because he was on the Steelers last season after being with the Ravens for the entirety of his career. He wasn't an all-pro second team like he was with the Ravens, but last year he was still a Pro Bowler. He still had 10 approximate value, still almost 130 combined tackles. I just think Patrick Queen will be very good this year. He'll be in help with Steelers defense that is aging. Now, if we compare this to my D lineman, I had two D linemen that were Steelers, and now I have a linebacker. So I project their defense to be pretty solid.
Yeah, he's someone that I almost had on my list. But yeah, I'm curious because the Ravens had Roquan Smith. And he was with Pittsburgh. How well does he do now on his own?
Yeah, we'll have to see. I'll go into my 9 because the 10 won second. This is a player that has had some success in his career, but has yet to make a Pro Bowl, has yet to make an All-Pro, and he will be this will be his age 29 season. But I just think that the Bears are going to be a better team, and it's TJ Edwards. TJ Edwards has played for 2 teams in his career. He used to be a Eagle. Now he's a Bear. He's had 9 approximate value the last 2 seasons, which is very comparable to Patrick Queen's 10 last year. But I think that he will benefit greatly from having a better defensive around him, because I think the Bears have a better defense than they've had the past couple years. I think also improving as a team that TJ Edwards will be a top 10 linebacker.
Okay, so we go with a different Bears linebacker to be in the top 10. Now we go to my 9. This is a guy who has dealt with injuries the past 2 years, only played 4 games last year and then 5 games the year before. But in 2022, 15 games, was an All-Pro that year and made it to the Pro Bowl. Matt Milano, he will be entering his age 31 season this year, but I do think he can come back and be a top linebacker. But just given, I think that's something, injuries you can see happen for linebackers, and that's what separates the great ones from the good ones. To me, Matt Milano is good, and he'll rebound this year.
Okay. My number 8 is Frankie Louvu. He plays for the Washington Commanders. He was, I think, a honorable mention kind of for, or no, he was all pro second team last year. He was. Louvu used to play for Carolina and obviously the Jets before that, but second team all pro last year. I think that he's a part of the reason why Bobby Wagner was better last year. And I think that they have a very good linebacker pair, one of the best in football. So I think Frankie Louvu will be the 8th best linebacker. Did you already say your 8, or did I?
No, you just went to your 8, but that's good. Because my 8 is Demario Davis. He's someone that has just constantly been in the top 10s for linebackers and continues to do it as he is 36 years old. And I don't see this year being another drop-off for him. He's someone that's just been incredible and will be part of that. It is an aging Saints defense, but will still be very good for them.
Okay, who's your 7?
My 7 is Bobby Wagner. And you mentioned Frankie Louvu. I kind of view Bobby Wagner helping Frankie Louvu, but it just goes through, that's a great linebacking core. Bobby Wagner had 132 tackles last year. He's someone that, even with age, I think is still going to play well.
Okay. So now it's my number 7?
Yes.
Okay. My number 7 is Dre Greenlaw. He had that terrible Achilles tear in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Now he's with the Broncos. He only played 2 games last year, but he still played well in those 2 games. And I think that only playing 2 games, not having to play in the playoffs, and having a full offseason, now he goes to the Broncos, I think he'll be back. I think he'll be back to the level that he was at before, and I think that he will have a lot of success this upcoming year. He's an extremely talented linebacker, so as long as his Achilles tear does not affect him too much, then I do think that he'll be solid. He just turned 28 recently, so when he was injured, he was 26, I believe, or 27. He was 26 whenever he got hurt. That's young. That's young to tear your Achilles. I think he can still come back from it, and I think he'll be a top 7 linebacker this year.
He's someone that I need to see him from the injury, but can be very good. And it's just, you didn't see a lot, but it could be beneficial for him. And there's going to be a new team. So I'm very interested in how that works for him. Number 6 is Levante David. This is another guy consistently playing well, even with his age, as I can't remember what exactly. He will be 35. He's currently 35 and will be for this season. And then if he makes it to the playoffs, he'll turn 36, as he has a January birthday. But he's someone that had 122 tackles last year and is always in the mix for a top linebacker in the NFL.
Okay. That was your 6?
Yeah.
Okay. My number 6 is a guy that you're a fan of. I have Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton has continuously gotten better throughout his career. Last year, he had his highest approximate value, and he only played 8 games in 23, but last year in 24, he played 16 games. He also played pretty well in the playoffs. I do think that this will be kind of a coming out party for him. He's only 25, right? So he's been in the league for a while, it seems like. He's only 25, so it feels like he still has a lot of room to grow. The Chiefs are going to need him on defense because their defense continues to get older, and I do still have some question marks about their their safeties and kind of how their defense will be played out. But they still have one of the best defenses in football, and I think Nick Bolton will be a strong piece of that.
Yeah, Nick Bolton is actually my 5 for all the reasons you said. So I'll just do that quickly. He had 106 tackles last year. He's fantastic. Who is your 5?
So it's kind of funny. My 5 is Lavonte David. We kind of
flip flop.
Yes, we did. David is going to be a huge part for the Bucs. I do have my worries about the Bucs, but if he will be the reason why they have a lot of success on defense this year. He's kind of the quarterback of their defense, and he's been so consistent and underrated playing out that I think that he will be very good this year. It's a big year for the Bucs. They have to prove that last year was not a fluke, or the year before that with Baker. But I think they're going to have a lot of success this year as long as David stays healthy and he can prove that he is a top 5 linebacker still.
Right. Yeah, so you and I just flip-flop 5 and 6. Do you want to go into year 4?
Yeah, this is a guy that I think is extremely underrated. And this is more of a pull out of the hat than it is necessarily a guaranteed guy. It's Alex Anzalone with the Lions. Anzalone missed some games last year, but when he was on the field, he was extremely productive. He played 10 games last year, only had 63 tackles, but again, it's because he played 10 games. But he's been with Detroit for a while now, and I think because of all the injuries they've had, he'll be a major piece for their defense. And this is, again, more speculative, but I think that he'll have a lot of success this year.
Okay, and speculative makes sense because this is my number 4 is a guy who made the switch to inside linebacker this year. This past year with the Eagles, Zach Bond. He had 151 tackles, and to me, given that he's still with the Eagles, he's gonna be another great player for them and be the 4th best linebacker.
We'll get to him eventually. Who's your 3?
My 3 is Zaire Franklin for the Colts, 173 tackles, and he's just a tackling machine. Led the NFL in tackles. Is an incredible linebacker. But to me, the 2 linebackers in front of them are just impressive athletes.
Yeah, Franklin was actually not on my list. I feel like linebacker can be a little bit tenuous regarding who stays in the top, besides these top 3. I think the top 3 are the top 3, in my opinion. I have Roquan Smith at 3. Roquan Smith is just a dominant middle linebacker, and his effect on the game, no matter who he's played with, has been immense. Now, I do think that the Ravens have even better secondary than they do linebackers, and that's with Roquan, who I think is an extremely talented linebacker. But I think Roquan will be very good again this year, and he'll just continue to progress into a very good player.
All right. He's my 2. I think he's a fantastic player, and it helps that he's on the Ravens and fits he's on the Ravens, just given their defense's reputation over the years. And yeah, he's fantastic. So he's my 2. Who is your 2?
My 2 is Fred Warner. Fred Warner, as long as he stays healthy, is a dominant linebacker. And really, his impact on the game is not really even felt with all the stats. I feel like his ability to just contain, his ability to guard, really, in coverage is extremely impressive. I did have to check, though. I had Zaire Franklin number 3 last year, and he was obviously all-pro second team, so I'm surprised I did not see him for this one. But I'll put him as an honorable mention, but I still think that linebackers is kind of tenuous. But I'll go into my number 1. My number 1 is Zach Bond. I think he had an extremely impressive season last year. He obviously won a Super Bowl and made extremely big plays in said Super Bowl. And I think the Eagles will use him, again, kind of like in a quarterback situation. It was extremely impressive. I mean, 18 approximate value last year is something that not many people see from a middle linebacker, and that includes guys like Fred Warner. As Fred Warner, the most he's ever had in a season is 19, and he had that once, and that was all the way back in 2020. But since that point, he's never had a season of 18, and you would think that he's always been the highest. But Fred Warner, my number 2, and then Zach Bond, my number 1.
Okay. Fred Warner is my 1. kind of for the reasons you mentioned as too. I understand Zach Bond. To me, Fred Warner is just that incredible athlete. I remember when he basically covered CeeDee Lamb in a playoff game a few years ago. And yes, linebackers are going to struggle with injuries, but to me, he's someone that's just fantastic and is going to have another great year at linebacker.
Yeah, I do think he'll have a very good year this year. I just think Zach Bond will be a little bit better. I think he'll continue to improve in his new role. And yeah, I mean, the Eagles are going to be a very good team. The defense around him, I think, also helps him continue to improve.
Yeah, and it helps that Vic Fangio is his defensive coordinator who helped him make that move. So very interested to hear y'all's thoughts in the comments about our top 10s and especially specifically this one. Be on the lookout for more. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.